In life, there are many questions. For some, answering questions is a job. But one thing people rarely think about is how Cade's Gatorade played. Robert Cade was one of the professors of medicine at the University of Florida. He enjoyed his job and was always curious. This would turn out to help him more than anyone even knew. Cade observed that on the college football team, called the Gators, players were losing weight rapidly. His hypothesis was that players were losing weight from perspiration. They would sweat without regaining hydration, therefore not being able to urinate. To test his prediction, Cade asked the Gators coach Ray Graves if he could work with team members. Graves agreed, but would not allow Cade to test varsity players in fear that their performance would be affected. After he worked with the freshman team, Cade was shocked with the results that he got. Since the athletes were sweating so much, they were losing a lot of sodium in water. Cade wanted to create a solution that would help the Gators. Cade exclaimed, "The results were eye-opening. The players' electrolytes were completely out of balance and their total blood volume was low." After Cade realized what a mess this was, he chose doctors Alejandro Quesada, Jim Free, and Dana Shires to help him create a drink that would make the Gators healthier. Finally, they came up with something. The solution contained sodium, water, sugar, and potassium. This is what sweat consists of. When the scientists tried it for the first time, the taste was absolutely awful. Cade actually puked up his first sip, but when lemons were added, it wasn't as bad. Although no one knew it at the time, this was the birth of Gatorade. When Gatorade was invented, it introduced a new industry that motivated people to care more about sports nutrition. Let's go back a couple of years though. Before Gatorade was even thought of, athletes were doing horribly. At the time, coaches thought that players were better off not being hydrated. One coach, Paul Bryant, wouldn't even let his players rehydrate at all. Bryant was among the majority. Most were afraid that by drinking, people would get cramps, therefore not performing up to their usual level. The funniest part was the coaches who thought they were being more lenient with their players. First of all, coaches would give the athletes salt pills. They thought that since sweat has sodium in it, this would help, but it was actually doing the opposite. It was putting people in great danger. Then, there's the sip and spit. The sip and spit is when athletes would take drinks of water, but spit it out before swallowing. Another way teens would rehydrate was by sucking on a wet towel. No one realized that the real problem was that players were not drinking. Gatorade was yet to come. After Cade completed his new drink, the results were immediately noticeable. First time Gatorade was used was when the freshman team, also known as the Baby Gators, went against the B team. While the B team drank water at halftime, the Baby Gators drank the precious Gatorade. After halftime, the game was a complete blowout. The Baby Gators won by a lot, but not until after they guzzled down their Gatorade. Coach Graves saw what a success the drink was, so he immediately wanted the varsity team to have it. In 1967, Stokely Van Camp was interested in owning Gatorade and finally bought it. Once in their possession, the company gave Gatorade different colors and made it more flavorful. By this point, all teams wanted it, and in July, Gatorade was sold to all sports teams. The demand for the drink grew so high that in 1968, it started to be sold in grocery stores. But although Stokely Van Camp made Gatorade more popular, they had only created 2 new flavors. The whole idea of Gatorade changed when Quaker Oats Company bought it in 1982. Already, instead of 2, Quaker created 12 new flavors for the drink. Quaker was not the only one advertising Gatorade. In 1987, at the end of a football game, The New York Giants began dousing their coach, Bill Parcells, with Gatorade. After this, every team copied off of the Giants and would pour a bucket of Gatorade over their coach's head after a game. Another coach named Jay Funderburg came up with the idea to make green wax paper cups with the Gatorade logo on it. He realized that if there were cups with Gatorade on them, they would give even better exposure than the coolers that were usually on the sidelines. When doing this though, Funderburg ended up getting in a lot of trouble since he was not a part of the Gatorade company and he was almost fired from his job. However, the idea stuck, and now instead of coolers, there are Gatorade cups. Of all the advertising, the basketball star, Michael Jordan, probably did the most. Jordan agreed to sign a 10-year promotional deal in 1992, and this helped Gatorade hugely become more successful. Because of all this advertising, it forced people to notice and care more about sports nutrition. Because of all the attention that Gatorade started to get, more companies began to copy off of Gatorade. Other companies are suggesting many of the same things that the Gatorade website says, and basically, they are creating the same drink and renaming it. For example, Pepsi came up with All Sport, and Coca-Cola made Powerade. This shows that Gatorade has proven to be the ideal drink, since not one business has created something better. Also, Gatorade is at war with water. Quaker wanted to make sure that wherever there was bottled water, there would be Gatorade sitting right next to it. While all of the sports drink industries battle to the death though, these companies are actually supporting sports nutrition without even truly realizing it. Throughout all this time, Gatorade still helps athletes with dehydration and heat strokes. And Gatorade's profit has done nothing but increase. In America, more than 100 billion ounces of the drink are sold per year, and 12.2 million bottles of Gatorade are sold in America daily. In 2001, Pepsi bought Gatorade, and since then, it has been the most popular drink in the world. From the first solution that Kate and the doctors mixed to sitting on the shelf at Wawa, Gatorade has accomplished many things. It made athletes who did not stay hydrated completely change their outlook, and it made different companies compete just to gain the same amount of publicity. Most of all though, it finally made people care and understand the necessity of sports nutrition. One simple question managed to do a lot in a period of 50 years.